Hello and welcome to this edition of FiTV. I'm your host, Brad Swanson. We are coming to you from the first day of the 2021 Florida legislative session. We are once again joined by our friend Matt Dixon of Politico, Florida. Matt, thanks for coming on FiTV.
Thanks for having me so much.
All right, so every year you give us kind of the top lines of what you're taking away from the speeches of the leadership. What are you seeing right now going on over there in that very locked down Capitol?
Well, what's interesting this year, beyond the fact that it's locked down, is there's a lot of dog and pony show with these opening day, sort of opening ceremonies. But if you read between the lines, you can kind of get a sense of maybe what the contours of session are going to be. In most years, if you think of the Florida legislature as sort of a three-legged stool, there's the House, the Senate, the governor's office. Generally, some organic sort of rivalries emerge. The governor in the House versus the Senate, the governor of the Senate versus the House.
Right.
And this year, it sort of feels like the governor in the House, Speaker Chris Sprowls, are kind of getting together on a lot of issues. The governor's anti-riot bill, some of the China intellectual freedom stuff, and Wilton Simpson and those in the Senate really are, I don't want to say, they're certainly not opposed to it. I think philosophically they're aligned, but he hasn't been part of this sort of PR push, the early messaging in session.
Right.
And a lot of these early press conferences where the Senate president hasn't been coming, it's notable because early on this time of year, it's really a time to sort of set the tone. Republican leadership says we're all behind these policy pushes, and when one of those folks doesn't come, it's noticeable, and I think the ecosystem is kind of seeing that.
Do you get the sense that this could be a result, or maybe a harken back to the Senate's deliberative posture and letting the legislator and the governors, the branch of the government, bring ideas, and the Senate deliberates, and the old rule of the House proposes, the Senate disposes.
Well, it's actually kind of interesting when you frame it that way, because it would feel that way from what I just described. But there's also several House members who are now in the Senate. Now Senator Ray Rodriguez is one that comes to mind, that have brought sort of a more conservative brand of a policy or a bill portfolio. So right now the Senate isn't necessarily in line, at least to the same degree as the House and the governor on some of these key issues, but they also lean a little bit more conservative on the legislation they're moving early. There's a ton of bills related to union dues and a few other things that in the past few years have passed the House, didn't even get a hearing in the Senate, and the Senate is now moving those bills. So the Senate's an interesting chamber to watch in the sense that they're not necessarily totally in line with the governor and the House Speaker, at least on the PR and the messaging side, but they're also seem to be a bit more conservative on the types of bills that they're moving early on.
Well, and you think about those pension bills, we remember, 5, 6, 7 years ago, that Capitol building would have been full from top to bottom of folks that would typically oppose that. And this year, they're going to have to be outside. And
it's another good example that you said pensions. The Senate is moving legislation that would block the new state workers, not current ones, new state workers from the state pension plan, which seems to be a very House type issue. But this year it's already moving in the Senate. We're not even, we're just getting to the official start.
Should be interesting to see how it all shakes down.
We'll be here.
All right, we'll be looking for the headlines tomorrow from Politico, Florida, from you and the rest of your team.
All right, thanks so much.
Matt, thanks for coming on. We appreciate it.
I appreciate it as always.
That's all the time we have for this episode of FiTV. For now, thanks for tuning in.